Okay, so just to let you know, this free webinar will be recorded. Hopefully you have no problem. Of course, you can hide yourself if you don't like your picture. Okay, so now let's start our this free webinar. Good afternoon, everybody. So as you know, this is the in the UK time. It is 1 o'clock. As you know, today is the first day of the summertime. Maybe I already received some message. Some of our colleagues mistaked for their time. Hopefully, yeah, the other colleagues are aware we are on summertime now. Okay, so now we start this free webinar we call the Mental Acupuncture Theory and Practice. This free webinar hosted by, we say, the London Academy of Chinese Acupuncture. This is a new established higher education in.
Excuse me. Can
Yes?
I record this lesson?
No, not really. Sorry, you can't do it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. For this new established college to provide Chinese medicine and Chinese acupuncture higher education in the UK. If you are interested, of course, you are more than welcome to visit our website, which is listed on the screen. And also, this is, we say, the more courses will be provide some of our free webinar like today. You are more than welcome to join these courses. Okay, so let's start this webinar. First of all, I'd like to make a very briefly introduction of myself. Perhaps some of you are not so familiar with me. I know most of you are quite familiar because we are friends. And at the beginning, I gained my bachelor degree, similar to the bachelor BSc in traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture from Nanjing University of Chinese Medicine in 1989. So you can see this year it is almost 32 years after my graduation. And after that, I worked as a medical doctor and an acupuncture practitioner in a TCM hospital for about 18 years. During these 18 years, I gained my postgraduate acupuncture and also PhD in acupuncture in 2008 on the research acupuncture for depression. I was employed as a senior lecturer and the director of acupuncture clinic in the University of East London, which employed me from China to the UK. This is start my new life in the Western country in the UK. And I was a director of acupuncture course in the College of Naturopathic Medicine in London. That's my preview background. Recently, I am the principal of London Academy of Chinese Acupuncture, LACA. I'm the director of my own business, TG Acupuncture and the Brain Center. And also I'm the guest professor at Nanjing University of Chinese Medicine in China. You can see the picture on the left-hand side of the picture, the upper one. And also I'm the vice president of Scalp Acupuncture Committee of World Federation of Chinese Medicine Societies. In addition, I'm the president of Institute of Scalp Acupuncture UK. So that's very briefly the introduction of my background. Hopeful some of new friends understand my background, and hopeful we have more opportunity in the future to know each other. Okay. Okay. And today's free webinar is about the mental disease, mental health. But what is the mental disease? So I'd like to make some briefly general introduction about the mental disease. We say mental disease or mental illness are health conditions involve the changes in thinking, emotion, or behavior. So you can see the mental beliefs is quite widely involved. Whatever any problems, including a thinking problem, emotion problem, or behavior problem. So not only just emotion, but also thinking and behavior. So mental illnesses are associated with distress or problems functioning in social, work, or family activities. So it is quite widely involved. And mental disease is just disease, it's a medical disease. So nothing to be shamed. Yeah, nothing to be shamed. It's a medical problem. It's just like heart problems, diabetes, high blood pressure. And I highlight these two the sentence just to make everybody aware, not only for ourselves, but also in the future for our patients. And to be honest, I'm not so familiar with the Western culture. As you know, my English is my second language. I haven't got any education in the Western countries. From our Asia culture, particularly China culture, if someone suffering from a mental illness, some of us are quite shamed, quite shy to tell others. Maybe they are worried about thinking they are mad, they are crazy, etc. So some of them, when they suffering from mental problem, they don't like to tell, even tell family member, tell friends, or particularly tell the medical doctors. So some of them even suffering so many years, they suffer, they are paying about it, but they never got any help. So I always highlight this sentence during my teaching on mental illness. I still remember when I teaching on some courses, almost every time there are some participants or some friends, they said, "Oh, Dr. Wang, and after you explain all this, I am relaxed. I was very, very worried to tell other people. I feel shame. I'm suffering from a mental illness." So we just understanding whatever ourselves, our family, or public mental illness, nothing to be ashamed. Yeah, it's a medical problem. Yeah. So mental health conditions are treatable and improvement is possible. So it is possible to treat it by help of medical and of course Chinese medicine, acupuncture, etc. Yeah. And also mental illness is very common, very common. Nearly 1 in 5. All these figures from the psychiatry, the charity from the UK. About 19% adults experience some form of mental illness. 1 in 24 has a serious mental illness. So 1 in 12 has a substance use of some use disorders. So mental illness is treatable. The vast majority of individuals with mental illness continue to function in their daily life. Yeah, most mental illness sufferers, they still can manage their daily life, and most of them are very good response for any treatment. So in terms of mental illness disorders, what the problems are included in this mental illness? So I cited from the NHS, the UK NHS, for some reference as a sample, some of the key or commonly seen mental illness, including addiction, agoraphobia, alcohol misuse, anorexia nervosis, antisocial personal disorder, anxiety disorder in children, autism spectrum disorders, children autism, eating disorder, bipolar disorder, bulimia, chronic trauma and encephalopathy, and suddenly confusion, depression, dysactive disorders, eating disorders, holding disorders, hypochondria, insomnia, and panic disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, schizophrenia, seasonal affection disorder, social anxiety disorder, stress, etc. There are so many mental health problems. And in terms of the treatment from the mainstream medical treatment, most of treatment, is the psychotherapy, or including talking therapy, or some called counseling. One of the typical counseling is CBT. Maybe you heard about CBT, means cognitive behavior therapy. Through there are some talking, explaining to help you, and of course medication, and including the antidepressant, etc. Or other treatments. There are lots of different different treatments of this. So a combination of therapy and the medication is most effective. Yeah, this is quite common. A comprehensive treatment plan may also include individually actions. Everybody different. This is similar to our TCM philosophy. Say the individually help. This including everybody, the lifestyle changes, supporting group or exercise that enhance recovery and well-being. That is the principle. And the complementary and alternative therapy are also increasing being used. So recently, particularly, recently due to the widely understanding about the complementary alternative medicine, including Chinese medicine, acupuncture in Western countries. So more requests for the help of alternative medicine in the Western countries. And let's shortly introduce about the TCM and the mental disease. Today it's a general introduction, so we can't go so deep, but give you some the principle and the general introduction about this. Such as if some of you have, I believe most of you have some TCM background, we will understand that we have the 7 emotions with some organs. Including we say that our 五志, and we know the 5 element aspect, 五志, including the liver, heart, spleen, lung, and kidney. So each some organs, they may involve one of the emotion. And from the traditional TCM, we mostly attribute Shen with heart. So the heart is the control of the spirit, etc. This is the traditional. And also we understand the Hun and the Po. And we saw this is partly of the 5 Shen, 5 zhi emotion. Yeah, these are traditional understanding. And also, as you may know, about 1,000 or 2,000 years ago, in not only in China, but also in most Asia, India, Pakistan, or Korea, Japan, etc. In that countries, we don't know why this mental problem happened. So some of culture recognize this problem into ghost. You're suffering from a problem with ghost. You are attacked by ghost. So in TCM, there is a special group of points we call the ghost point. By the about 1,300 years, 300-400 years ago in China, the Tang Dynasty, a famous doctor called Sun Simiao, in his book Changing Fang, there is a group of points called 13 ghost points. Yeah, these points are commonly used by doctors to treating this ghost problem, or now we call this mental disorders, including maybe you know something about the Dumai 26 Renzong, or the Dumai 16 Fengfu, etc. Yeah, and with the developing of TCM theory, now more and more study and research and practice on the area to understanding about the TCM brain understanding. And so now we can explaining or review about the TCM brain theory, which is related for the mental illness. So the brain in classic TCM, as now most TCM books still explain the brain is one of the extraordinary Zangfu organs. Yeah, its physiological function and the pathological changes are ascribed to the heart and corresponding respectively with the 5 Zang organs. Yeah. Brain on its own has no patterns and not developed on its treatment as well. So this is the classic TCM, the moment. From TCM, the organs are discussed with functions more than the forms. As you know, we understand when we talk about the heart, we also not only for the blood circulation, but also we say the heart control the mind, the mental. So that is typical TCM. But if we review the traditional TCM textbook, such as the typical TCM textbook, classic book we call the Huangdi Leijing, which is called the Bible of TCM. So this is originally the Bible of TCM. If you read the Huangdi Leijing, you can find in Huangdi Leijing, chapter 11, the different functions between the 5 Zang. The Huangdi asked the Qibo, said, I've heard different comments from different physicians. Some take the brain as Zang organ, some take it as a Fu. So that you can understand that, even 2,000 years ago, in Huangdi Leijing time, there are already lots of argument about the role of brain. In that moment, it's already there. So in Huangdi Leijing, there are lots of statements about the brain, the origin of the brain. The first one, we say the brain was one of the major important internal organs, such as in Huangdi Leijing, chapter chapter 10, they called at the beginning of life, first by essence, then develops into the brain with the bones as the trunk, the channels as the pathway, the tendons as network, and the muscle as the protective screen, etc. This indicates, you say, the brain is formed very first, then other tissues and organs, and then conditions other Zangfu organs. There are lots of other statements in Huangdi Leijing, such as Huangdi Leijing play questions, or when Su Wen, chapter 17, said, the head is where the spirit locates. And then the Huangdi Leijing Su Wen, chapter 50, the forbidden position in pricking, they said, when pricking the head, if the brain is hurt enormous, the patient will die immediately. So you can say when we hurt the brain, the patient will die immediately. But if you by accident you needle the heart, the spleen, the liver, kidney, the patient will be die in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days. But the brain, it will be die immediately. So you can understand that in that moment, you have already noticed that brain is the vital part of the brain, of our human body. And also said in Huangdi Leijing Ling Su, chapter 33, the discussion of the seeds, they said brain is the seed of marrow. So therefore, you can understand brain is considered to be of utmost important and vital part of our life. Yeah, this is about brain 2,000 years ago of Huangdi Leijing. But unfortunately, some reason after Huangdi Leijing, brain theory not developed by 15th century. There are some discussion why this happened, but my understanding may be because of the Wu Xing or 5 element theory was occupied or the majorly part for the TCM theory. Until 1518 to 1519, you know, the famous position, the master position, Li Shizhen, he's very famous in his herbalist. In his book, Compendium of the Materia Medica, or you can say the 本草纲目, Xin Yi chapter. Xin Yi is a good herb to treating nose problems, right? Nasal problem. This book published in 1596, but he died in 1593. So this means this book, he haven't seen his book before he died. This book published 3 years later. As you know, in that moment, 700 years ago, in that moment, to publish a book, it's so difficult. Yeah, it's so difficult. So in this book, it pointed out the brain is the house of Yuan Shen. Here, Yuan translated Yuan Shen means the primordial mind. But unfortunately, in his book, he did not explain detail and not developed. Yeah, that's about Yuan Shen. How to understand the brain is the house of Yuan Shen? Let's a little bit explaining from my understanding. So that we understand that Yuan Shen is the source of all the other Shen. Yuan Shen is the largest and the most honored Shen and that dominate the life. And Yuan Shen is innate and governed by the brain. So from the Machia, his book is the foundation of Chinese medicine. And Machia, he said, brain is the residence of the original mind. He translated it original mind. He said, from the Ming Dynasty, which is the master, the Dr. Ni Shizhen, from Ming Dynasty onwards, some doctors attributed the residence of mind to brain rather than heart. So that means there are some TCM master doctors has already realized this about the brain. So in detail, Shen in TCM, the broad meaning of Shen, including physical and mentally energy. But if in a narrow meaning in Shen, it means the mind or spirit. Yeah, the essence and the qi are the substantial foundation of Shen. Yeah, and also Shen is the one of the 3 treasures, including Jing, Qi, and the Shen. And Shen, the post-natural Shen lives in the heart, but the Yuan Shen or pre-natural Shen refers to the precession Shen or pro-natural Shen, which lives in the brain. Shen TCM, the state of Shen is said to be visible in the eyes. Yeah, health Shen produces bright, shining eyes with vitality. Yeah, disturbed Shen produces the dull eyes, which seems to have a curtain in front of them, as if no one were behind them. Yeah, disturbed Shen often seen in those with long-term emotion problems or after serious shock, even a shock that occurred a long time ago. Yeah, that's what we call the disturbed Shen. Yeah. And healthy Shen depends on the strength of essence. Yes, this essence stored in kidney and the qi. Shen is dependent on the pro-natural Jing and the post-natural Jing. Yeah, Jing is to that. If essence and the qi are healthy, Shen will be nourished. The Shen, it lives in the blood vessel, partly of heart system in TCM. So that is the TCM on the why TCM understanding and the Shen related for the heart. After review of the TCM brain theory, we can summary the function of brain. The brain to dominate our life, such as our control. It can to operate the physical activities, including seeing, hearing, smelling, speaking, etc. It's to govern the mental activities, including consciousness, intelligence, sleep, etc. This is the function of brain. Yeah. We summary brain is it's the vital important in our TCM system. It's one of the Zang organ. But from the classic TCM, all the 12 Zangfu organs have its affiliate channels to transport qi and blood, connect the Zang and the Fu, associate the external with internal, as well as the upper and the lower. But what is the channel of brain? After this review of the theory, I believe, or now most of the doctors believe, Dumai or governor vessel is the channel of brain. Yeah, I've published by this summary in my papers and my book I mentioned later. So we have some key reference from the classic, such as in 黄帝内经素问古空论 chapter 60 called Dumai enters and connects the brain. Another book, classic book, we call the Nanjing, translate in English, it could be classic of questions. Yeah. In the chapter 28, they said, Duma enters and belongs to the brain. Nanjing is only 100 years later than Huangdi Leijing, so which is accepted as the most as the classic book most close to the Huangdi Leijing, most explaining of Huangdi Leijing. So Nanjing translated is very clear. Duma enters and belongs to the brain. So Duma belongs to the brain. Duma is the channel of brain. So we very briefly the summary of the Duma with brain. So I believe some of you are very familiar, but some are not so familiar. We just a little bit review. Duma starts from uterus. This is the original translation. But as you know, for male, we have Duma as well. So we better translate its internal genitals. Yeah. Then Duma, with the same source of Chongmai and Renmai, as you know. Then downward to external genital, passes by anus. So that means Duma has a close related for our genital problems. Then Duma upward from inside the coccyx and the sacrum. And the Duma enters and connects the brain from Du16 Fengfu. From the, you can see the right hand side of the picture, you can see it's the Du16 Fengfu enters brain at the Fengfu Du16. There is the Duma. And the Duma, of course, external portion runs through forehead to the nose, enters the gum. So that's the review, very briefly review of Duma. We have many Duma points, in total 28, but some of them are commonly used. And I list some of the commonly used Duma points here, hopeful, may be used in the future. The last one, maybe you know the point, the yin tang in the middle of the eyebrow. But it is classic TCM, we call this the external the point. It's not covered by any channel. But I believe this point should be covered in Duma. Whatever from its location exact on Duma, and also its function are very close to other Duma points, such as to calm the Shen, etc. And in general speaking, for treating mental diseases, of course, we can use Chinese herb medicine, general acupuncture, etc. But there are some specific mental acupuncture techniques. So now we have already from the mental acupuncture, from the theory, now we move on to the practice. The technique including, of course, we can use our general acupuncture techniques. We can use others for liver qi stagnation, heart Shen disorder, etc. But there are some specific acupunctures for mental disease, including Dao-qi acupuncture technique, including scalp acupuncture and abdominal acupuncture. Yeah, for today, the free webinar, I will slightly explain what is Dao-qi technique and scalp acupuncture. For Dao-qi technique, I'd like to share first feedback from a patient. She said, at the first session, I was feeling particularly heavy, like there was a gray cloud hanging over my heart. As Dr. Wang's needle, the Du16, I felt the energy rise almost immediately, and I began to laugh. The heavy cloud lifted. I felt the energy rise upwards to the top of my head, around Du20. It was quite an intense and also relief experience. This is the original word from the patient. But interesting, during my workshop, some colleague asked, oh, why the patient know the name of the point, Du16, Du20? You may imagine, this patient, she is a practitioner. She's an acupuncturist as well. She is suffering from a very severe depression and tried medicine, not help, only helped by my acupuncture with Dao-qi technique. You can see my needle on her Du16 and Du40. And also, of course, there are lots of other feedbacks from the participant from my previous courses, such as wonderful seminar day, wonderful modern medicine Chinese, magic hands with energy, etc., Dao-qi, dose of needling, timing, space are in great compilation, etc. Lots of this feedback. Yeah, you can find it from my website. Yeah. How to apply the Dao-qi? Dao-qi is appropriate to apply light and smooth stimulation for a long time. The meditation is lifting and stretching and rotating the needle at amplitude 1 to 2 millimeters. The angle is less than 180 degrees. The frequency is 60 to 100 times per minute. You can see it's very, very gentle and very, very mildly. But should apply after needle approach to the right depth of the needle. And the Dao-qi indication, including the Dao-qi translated, is guide the coited qi to even and normal. Dao here it means leading, guiding the coited qi. So this technique was originally from Huangdi Jing, the 5 wu nuan, or translated in English, the 5 unhealed, including the heart, lung, stomach, tibia, and head. So the indication, we can use this technique to treat chronic cases, mental cases, sensitive cases. If the patient with less response to other techniques. Yeah. Dao-qi technique was originally from China, from Huangdi Jing, and discussed in China in some, we say, the textbook, but not so commonly used. But unfortunately, in the Western, no one mentioned of this technique until my paper published in 2015. I published my book on this journal. Maybe you heard about the Acupuncture in medicine. This paper published Acupuncture combined with an antidepressant for patients with depression in hospital. A pragmatic randomized controlled trial. It's a pragmatic RCM. In this paper, I first used the word Dao-qi technique. But during this paper published, there were a very, very difficult conversation and discussion. At the beginning, the reviewer did not accept this terminology. They said, I couldn't find any reference about the Dao-qi. What is Dao-qi? And after lots of argument and explanation, finally, they accept. So this is the first time the Dao-qi technique was published in English journal. Yeah. In the future, if you study and interested on this technique, you can find this paper as your references. In terms of Dao-qi, and of course, we will explain more detail in future courses. But today, I only explain one point as Dao-qi, which is Du-16. Du-16 is the key point on Du-mei, which is Du-mei enters the brain. And also, Du-16 is one of the ghost points. From the TCM understanding, the Du-mei enters the brain in Du-16 with a deep layer, roughly about, for most of us, roughly about 30 to 35 millimeter. But why we need so deep? So I recently found this new understanding from the anatomy structure. From this anatomy structure, they found there is they called a new structure of anatomy, very, very tiny bit. They called myodural bridge. This bridge, you can see on this picture, we call here B. A and B, they are all myo bridge, but B is exactly underneath Du-16 fengfu. This myodural bridge connected with the from the muscle to the dura. So that means if we can stimulate this muscle, it can regulate the spinal function to the brain. So that means if we're treating brain conditions, spinal conditions, we need, or we say, we need this deep needling to touch this muscle to generate more better response. So just very briefly show this. Of course, I will detailedly explain during the future courses. Yeah. And of course, Scalp acupuncture is also another special technique for treating brain conditions, including neurological disease and psychological disease as well. This is we say illustration published by in my book I generate myself. So you can see the scalp acupuncture, the areas in traditional acupuncture we call acupuncture point, we call the point, but scalp acupuncture we call they are areas. So we stimulate these areas to treating brain-related diseases, including mental disease, such as one of the specific area we call the separate emotion area. This area specifically to treat emotion problems. This is this area, the location, I very briefly need to tell you, 2 centimeter side of the anterior posterior midline and a 4 centimeter line from vasomotor area to front. And based on my personal research and experiences, I translate it in a simple way. 2 centimeter natural to the point of 3.7 front of the midpoint of midline. Draw a 4 centimeter line to front parallel to midline. So this is the specific area to treating emotion conditions, including emotion disorders, depression, stress, anxiety, insomnia, etc. Yeah. The manipulation of scalp acupuncture is very unique. And the needle sides, we need the needle side specifically better with the specific sides. We can use slightly thick needle because the scalp is more thick, and we insert needle with the angle 20 to 30 degrees, which means our needle should be slightly strong than general acupuncture. The stimulation will need 1 to 2 minutes per key areas. The frequency we need very fast, 150 to 200 per minute, if we need generate a good response. And then we need, we may repeat the manipulation again every 10 minutes. The duration may be 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah. Scalp acupuncture may combination with other techniques such as electroacupuncture, general body acupuncture, etc., etc. Yeah. And finally, we will explain some of the key mental disease with mental acupuncture. The mental disease, including the brain-related diseases, including mental disease, neurological disease, and other related disease. In this course, we will more explain the mental disease, including depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, insomnia, epilepsy, schizophrenia, addiction, etc. These are the sample key mental disease. And as a sample of depression, or as I said, in the future, we will explain more detail. The depression is a very, very complex, a very common problem, but very complex. For our clinical experiences, how do we understand and understand and diagnose the depression? If we do, of course, research, such as during my PhD research, we use the specific questionnaire we call the Hamilton Depression Scale. Yeah. But for our clinical practice, it's not necessary. We only remember on these 10 clinical symptoms, if a patient is suffering at least 5 of the following symptoms for a period of 2 weeks, then we can diagnose this patient is very possible suffering from clinical depression, including the patient depressed mood most of the day, every day, nearly every day. Markedly diminished interest in pleasure in almost all activities most of the day. Significant weight loss or weight gain without eating. Insomnia or hypersomnia nearly every day. And cycle agitation or redundant. Fatigue or loss of energy nearly every day. Feeling of worthlessness, guilty, desperation, and cycling pain that are ongoing. Inability to think or concentration. Indecisiveness daily. Then recurrently thought of death or suicide. or specific plan or attempt a suicide. So if these 10 key symptoms, we find a patient suffering from more than 5, they are very possibly suffering from depression. But of course, I will explain more detail in the future. And also for depression, we can use this simple questionnaire. We call the patient health questionnaire. It's a simple question. It's not like a research hermeneutic. So also we can make it clear, such as little interest or pleasure in doing things, feeling down, depressed, or hopeless, etc. Yeah, this is a simple way. And for another sample for anxiety, if a patient from we're suffering this diagnosis, if they are suffering from anxiety, we can use this generalized anxiety disorder assessment. Yeah, this is also very simple way, help public or our practitioner to understand if a patient is suffering from any anxiety, yes or no. Yeah, this is very possible. So during the future courses, we will explain this as well in the future. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. And for myself, based on my 30 years experiences, clinical experience, and also my research, particularly my research from my PhD research. Now I have recently, late last year, I just published my book, Acupuncture for Brain, Treatment for Neurological and Psychological Disorders, which published by Springer. As you may know, Springer is one of the famous publisher who focus on the science and medicine. This book just published with 100,000 words, 33 colored illustrations last year. This book has 2 major parts. Part 1 is acupuncture for brain, including the theory and the techniques, such as we mentioned about this brain theory, such as scalp acupuncture, Dao-qi technique, etc. And the second part is the treatment of brain disorders, including neurological diseases such as stroke, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, and other dementia, multiple sclerosis, trauma brain injury, autism, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, headache, and the pain associated with neurological disorders. And also second part is about the mental disease, including depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, post-trauma stress disorder, insomnia, substance use, abuse. So this is about the book. Yeah. And due to the time, I prepared some of the key case studies. I can't explain all of them. Hopefully, I can explain 1 or 2. Such as the first case is a young man who is 25 years old. He suffered from severe depression more than 5 years. He couldn't finish his university study. He discharged from university, and he couldn't work out by himself, only by accompanied by other family members. And he tried everything, as you know, antidepressant, etc., but no any help. Until he, some reason, I was invited for home visit for his grandpa in his house, in his grandpa's house. So he was asked to try acupuncture, but he was afraid of needles. And I was asked to only try 1 needle if it is not suffered any pain. So I treated this guy. First started on one of the Renmai points. Maybe you can imagine Renmai 12 for treating him, and no any pain. He was happy for needle. Then I used scalp acupuncture and abdominal acupuncture to help this guy. After a couple of sessions, he is getting better. One day he asked me, I put a wedding, asked me, may I go abroad to Belgium for a wedding? He was surprised me. His family also surprised because he has never go abroad for 5 years. But after assessment, I said, yes, you can go. You are improving, you are better. So he went to the wedding as a best man. To join the wedding, he said, I was very happy. I enjoyed it. In the last 5 years, he never used any word happy and never used a word enjoy. So he was very happy. And the other case, let me see. Okay, I like to another short case. The third one. I put the word here. Anxiety UK. You can see the anxiety UK. Let's see. Put it here. This third one. This guy, university student. He's suffering from severe severe anxiety. He couldn't continue his university time. He was referred by a charity called Anxiety UK. I was the approved practitioner of this charity. After treatment, majorly with scalp acupuncture, he back to the university. And another alcohol addiction, another case, hopeful. This is an interesting case. This guy suffering from alcohol, he enjoyed this alcohol for 35 years. Yeah. He himself enjoyed the addiction, but his family noticed his behavior has been changed. He don't like to talk with anyone else. His wife, his children only took something with his drinking friend. He only drink the alcohol. He can drink the whiskey about 200 millimeter every day. His face getting dark, and his behavior is not great. Yeah. So he was forced to come to treatment to my clinic, but he refused. And after several times cancellation, his wife, third session, his wife told her, whatever you go or not, I've paid the treatment fee for Dr. Wang. He's expensive, I'm expensive. So this husband has no choice. He tried, he said, okay, I try once, only once. Yeah, I did the acupuncture for him. The first time, after first session, he said, the next session, he said, he has cut the drink less than 50%. Then in totally 3 sessions treatment, he has already completely finished his drunk. So you can imagine how happy for himself and his family. Okay, because of time, I can't explain the other cases. So this is, of course, is a general introduction about this mental acupuncture. As you may know, the information, there will be a mental acupuncture CPT courses with in total 3 sessions running by the London Academy of Chinese Acupuncture. I'm the key lecturer for this course. There are in totally 3 sessions for this course. The first session will be on 11th of April 2 p.m. Each course will be 3 hours. The first session we will explain the detail about the specific mental acupuncture technique, including Dao-qi technique and the scalp acupuncture the technique. This is the first session. Second session, the week after Sunday, with mental acupuncture for depression. Both explain about depression. The third session will be on the 25th April with mental acupuncture for anxiety and insomnia. So the 3 sessions are running in 3 continued weekends. So you are more than welcome to join these courses. Of course, if you are interested, you can send a message to me or through the information on here, so the email to the London Academy, the Chinese acupuncture email system, or you can contact me through my personal the email or my personal number as well. Okay, that's all for my presentation. Now we have about 10 minutes. We move on for for next. I have some meeting next. So okay, so now it's time for your question. If you have any question, you can just unmute yourself, and or you can raise your hand for questions. Yeah. Okay, it's time. Your time.
Hi, TJ. Yes, I have got a question,
Go ahead,
please. When you are treating patient for anxiety,
yes,
and insomnia, do you, in your clinic,
yes,
I want to know your procedure. Do you combine scalp and using the point like like heart points, you know, Shen, because of the different of the
understand.
Shen,
Okay.
brain Shen and so. Do you combine or you just use the brain only?
Okay, thank
you.
For in my clinic, when I treating these emotion problems, particularly severe emotion problem, I mostly use scalp acupuncture majorly, but I may combine some body acupuncture as well, such as we said, heart Shen, liver 3, etc. I may combine, yeah, but majority I used is the scalp acupuncture. And also, you may know, in my clinic, most of these emotion patients are quite severe. They are referred by other practitioner, by other patient or their family member, etc. Because my clinic is not on high street. No one can drop in my clinic. They are appointment only, and more than half of patients are traveling from other city or other area. So most people are quite severe. So I mostly use the scalp acupuncture majorly. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and sorry, one more question. And because you said your patient are normally the chronic patient and serious patient, obviously they are on a medication when they come to you.
Yes.
How do you adjust the medication with acupuncture? Are you asking them to how they come off the medication, or do they come off at the medication?
That's a very good question. I will explain more detail in the future courses, such as depression and anxiety. Today, I will very briefly explain. We never ask them to cut or stop antidepressant himself, particularly at the beginning. Most cases, I will ask them, keep going all the medication you take the moment. But with time, when they are getting better, when patient will ask them, oh, may I reduce or stop? I mostly explain, okay, you can ask your doctor, your GP or your specialist. You are getting better. You feel happy. You're better. Can I reduce the medication? Most of the cases, the doctors are happy to agree them to stop, to gradually reduce their medication. But to remember, we never ask immediately. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Wisma, Yingbo.
您好。
Okay, go ahead, please. 您好.
Hi, thank you so much. That was so enlightening.
Thank you.
I just have a question regarding the example of the gentleman who had gone to the wedding.
Oh, yes.
You had a picture of him with his with some needles on his stomach as well.
Yes.
Do you find there's usually a correlation between digestive disorder and mental disorder?
Oh, okay, good question. And I use this abdominal acupuncture, or you can see some acupuncture on 任脉 and the stomach area. There are two reasons. First reason, maybe you heard about the second brain or gout brain.
Yes.
I use the notes of this 任脉 point, such as 任 12, 任 10, 任 4, 任 6, to treating their second brain. First reason. Second reason, this guy, he's suffering depression for 5 years. He said he only get a very temporary happy by taking chocolate. So every day he will eat about a pack of chocolate. So that's the reason in the last 5 years, he gained 20 kilos. So that's part of the reason I treating his stomach, this the appetite problem as well. Thank you. Any question? Right, let me see any question from chat. Okay, no worry. It's not a question. It's just a thank you. Thank you for the meeting. Okay, so now any other questions? Go ahead, please. You can raise your hand, or you can simply just unmute yourself.
Can I ask a really quick second question? I'm sorry, it's
Go ahead.
again.
Go ahead, please.
In one of your slides in the beginning, it said the quote was, "Breaking the head, if the brain is hurt erroneously, the patient will immediately die."
Oh, yeah.
Should we be concerned about how we needle the head? It's making me really nervous now.
Okay, I will explain more detail during the first session for the particularly for the Dao-qi technique. That means needling or immediate die. That means if you needling on mistake, that that is forbidden, such as some points we say do 16, GB 20, or do 15, etc. This point, if you do doing, oh my internet, yeah, if you're doing wrong, you may let the patient die immediately. But of course, we need some training, specific training to know. As you know, other points such as you need to on the chest or on the back points, of course you can generate a more serious problem as well. So self-training is very important. So that's the reason I will spend 3 hours for the first session to teaching scalp acupuncture and Dao-qi technique, very clearly explained which level, which depths we can needle, and with safe and effective. So that's the we will explain more detail. Don't worry about it. Thank you. Okay, any other questions?
Hello.
Oh yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, I want to ask about, when it's a depression or some mental problem, they have some harmful organs, deficiency or stagnation, and how that, because there is a lot of 5 or 6 organs deficiency. How do we different sense of that stagnation or deficiency energy?
Okay.
This is difficult.
Okay, it is difficult. For many chronic problem patients, including mental disorders, you are right. From TCM perspective, there are many organs involved, not only just the heart, the liver, even spleen, the kidney, the lung, they are all involved. So that's part of the reason we need to highlight the brain. Only brain can control all these organs. So that's the reason we say, when more than 2 organs involved together, mixed together, then we need a high commander to regulate them, to control them. So that's part of the reason why we need to highlight the function of the brain. Yeah. So,
you mean, and this spleen or heart deficiency or stagnation only just regular from brain? What?
yes.
How to
yeah, for this kind of patients, I will explain more detail in the future. But for this kind of patients, we highlight the brain, but also we may add some other harmful organ channel points as well, such as we will add some heart Shen points, liver points. We may add some spleen points as well. But the key point, key treatment will be scalp acupuncture and the Dao-qi technique on Duma and Renmai.
Okay, and then also some same times we can use
yes.
and body acupuncture. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
This is the key. This is the routine treatment in my clinic. I mostly use some scalp acupuncture first, then add some other body acupuncture as well, such as the men on the wedding. I use mostly the scalp acupuncture, and some points on the Renmai, and some points on the stomach, and 1 or 2 on the such as large intestine 4, large intestine 11, etc.
How about the combination with the balance method?
Plus with
the balance method. Balance method and 12, they has global balance method.
Oh, global balance. Yeah, sure. Yes, we scalp acupuncture can be combined with many other techniques and many other theory and etc. But I will highlight scalp acupuncture or Dao-qi technique, Dao-qi acupuncture from Duma and Renmai are the key techniques treatment for severe mental diseases. Of course, we can combine with other techniques. Even we can combine with ear acupuncture, you can combine with cupping, gua sha, etc. You absolutely no worry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, one last question, because I should leave at 2 o'clock. I have another meeting. Sorry for that.
Okay, thank you so much. It's very useful seminar.
Thank you. Yeah, more than welcome to
yes, exactly. I will join this.
Thank you.
Lecture. Yeah, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Dr. Wang.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, if no more question, yeah, we are finished in a couple of seconds. Oh, okay. Thank you for you use the Roland the lamp. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yeah, and thank you everybody. Of course, you are more than welcome to to join my course. And also, if any question, you are more than welcome to contact me through my
No, thank you.
website, through our email, and etc. and WhatsApp, etc. Okay, thank you very much for everybody. So see you soon. You have
Thank you. Thank you so much.
The rest of your
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.